Okay, good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Okay, it's a Friday, so I'm pretty amazed at the size of this group, and amazed at to see all of you look nice. You're dressed nice, and so that's a great thing. I'm glad to be here. The way that I ended up here is through the High Business Center. Our family goes to the High Center, which is, I don't know if you know Mike Mitchell, but I guess I ran into Dr. Williams at one of the meetings, and we just got talking, and so here I am. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to help you any way that I can. So if there's any questions that you have, feel free to ask them. And I want to help you to succeed in your career. My background is, a little bit about myself is I went to St. Francis College, and I was an accounting major. So many of you, how many accounting majors are in here? Okay, that's a pretty good show of hands, okay? So when I was an accounting major, that's what I thought that I wanted to do with my life. And really, that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing human resources. And, but the reason that I decided to get into accounting is my grandfather that started our business, he was an accounting major, and I'll tell you about him. My dad was an accounting major. My brother John was an accounting major, so I thought I might as well be an accounting major. So I still go back to St. Francis. I'm going to go back there next weekend, so I'll be out of college 30 years. It's kind of hard to believe. And I also met my former wife at St. Francis, and we have 6 children, and my daughter Julia goes here. I don't know if you know Julia Moylan. So I promised I wouldn't put a picture up of Julia. She's an elementary ed. She's graduating this year. Is anybody graduating this year? Okay, all right, so we have a couple of them, okay. So so what I want to try to help you do is to help you in any way that I can to learn to do your best with what you're learning, do your best in life, because that's pretty much what we're doing at Berks Packing, is we're doing our best to make hot dogs. How many of you are familiar with Berks Packing, Berks hot dogs? Okay, all right. Okay, good. So we're in the food business, and we'll get started here.
Let me do that for you, Joe.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, should I just hit that?
No, it's working now. I don't
Okay,
know
great.
why it wasn't. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. Okay, so Berks Packing, we're located in Reading, Pennsylvania. I don't know how many of you are from the Reading area or know where we are, but we're located right next to the Bingham Street Bridge. And, my grandfather founded Berks Packing with 2 other partners back in 1933, so I'll share his story with you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you stories here. I think that's a good way to learn, give you a good way to ask some questions if you'd like. But that's our main plant, and we call it the plant, because our plant is like a big kitchen, if you can kind of imagine that, but on a much larger scale. We bring in our raw materials, which are beef, pork, and turkey. And then we bring in our spices and our cures. And we have our smokehouses, which are like your ovens. So it's like a kitchen, but on a much larger scale. We have 140 employees. We have a great workforce. It's not uncommon to see somebody retire from Berks Packing. The average length of service is about 15 years. So myself, I've been hanging around the plant since I'm this big, and I've always wanted to be part of Berks Packing. You know, as I'm the youngest of 11, so 10 of us work in the business. So we are a very large family. You know, trying to work together, trying to make things happen. My parents are still living, thank God. So my dad comes into the plant, you know, as much as what he can. So he's 88, my mom's 87. So I've pretty much learned from those that I grew up with in the plant, or at the plant. You know, I started out pretty much cleaning the bathrooms, picking up trash. I still pick up trash, to be honest with you. That was the first job that my grandfather gave me when I was a teenager. So I share these things with you because these things that you're doing now, and you know, for you to be successful, you want to take those things that your parents have taught you, those things that you've learned, and you want to keep doing those throughout your life. You know, I have an office. I'm not in my office all the time. I'm pretty much out and about, you know, talking with people, talking with our employees, and that's what I find works for me. So I do get involved in a lot of different areas at Berks Packing, and you know, I talk to a lot of people. So you know, I'm glad to share that with you. Okay, so we have our vision statement, which is to be the best in class in everything that we do. So when we go to make hot dogs, we make a wide variety of hot dogs. We make our regular hot dog. We make our Fiesta Frank, which has jalapeno and cheese in it. We make a beef Frank. You know, we make all kind of hot dogs. We have a full line of hams, a full line of ring bologna. How many of you go to Wawa and get an Italian sandwich? Okay, that meat is coming from Berks Packing. So we've had a partnership with Wawa for over 25 years, and you know, they're pretty demanding customer to have. But you know, anytime that they set the bar, we will do what we can to meet that. So our mission is the commitment to the finest quality foods that are going to inspire families to come together and create lasting memories. So, you know, when you have your cookouts and you're having your friends over, your family over, we want you to enjoy our products. You know, we want you to just have fun, and we want you to enjoy that. We're very big on food safety. You know, food safety is one of our number one concern. So every pound that we sell, we want to make sure that it's safe for you to consume. So everything that we're doing at the plant throughout our day, as we're walking through the plant, we're always looking for something that can go wrong. When you're in business and you have when you have a lot on the line, you're always thinking about, you know, what can go wrong, and you're always trying to prepare for that, you know, to prevent something from happening. So we have our core values. Our core values, and if you look at the first word, or the first letter of each word, it spells Berks. So we want to be the best. We want to excel at teamwork. We want to have respect for all. We want to know our customers and our consumers, and we want to support the community. So, you know, we hear a lot of these buzzwords, you know, teamwork. But really, when you have to do it, you know, you have to roll your sleeves up and do it. And then when it actually does work for you, you know, you can see why it's a core value. So what I would suggest, and I was driving up here and I'm thinking, you know, what's really the message that I want to leave with you? You know, how can I help you? But it's to be your best in whatever you do. Take whatever you have, take who you are, and just apply yourself every day, the best that you can. And I can assure you, you're gonna succeed if you do that. It's not rocket science. You know, I have a lot of respect for your generation. You know, my kids are your age, so you know I can see the challenges that that you're up against, and you know I look back and see what I'm doing, and I, you know, fortunately have my dad to, you know, to learn from. So you know, just
Yeah, we're having issues.
okay. So, you know, what you want to do is you want to just take and just do your best in life, and just work with that. And you know, if you do that, I guarantee you you're gonna succeed. You know, you may not be doing what you're going to school for. I went to school for accounting. I would have never thought that I'd be standing here talking to you today. You know, but over the years, you know, I just got involved in different things, and you know, worked my way to where I am right now. Okay. Is that okay?
I brought a question if somebody called the read out.
I have one in my pocket.
Yeah, if it's not that, it's the computer. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's technology. I should have brought it.
Do you need my flash drive?
It's not, it's the power to the computer. It's not this.
I can keep going if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, I'm going to keep going here. So here's a lesson. Is what can go wrong will go wrong. All right. So you always want to have a backup plan. So I brought this PowerPoint here so we can keep going. So I'm going to talk about my grandfather and my dad. My grandfather is here, and here's my dad. So Pop-Up was my grandfather, and his story is at 28 years old, he worked for a company called the Central Abattoir, and which is a Jewish slaughtering house. And in Reading, back in the 1940s, there were a lot of slaughterhouses at the time. So there was another company called the Berks Abattoir, and my grandfather was blind in one eye, but he was sharp. You know, he was really smart, very witty. Just he was always on the ball. And what he did was the Berkshire Abattoir was owned by two brothers, and they had heard that he was good in the meat business. So they recruited him from the Central Abattoir. And these places back then, they were just small slaughtering operations at the time. And he left the Central Abattoir, went to the Berkshire Abattoir, and he had found out when he got there that they weren't paying their bills. So they were pretty much broke at that time. So this story that I'm telling you is in the newspapers. It was in the Reading, the Reading newspapers, and so he was appointed by a judge to be the temporary receiver, which is pretty much your credit department today. And his role was to pay the creditors. So my grandfather and two other guys formed a partnership together, and they then bought Berks Packing Company, and it started April 13th in 1933. So that's when he got started, okay? So things are going along, and the one partner was an investor. The other one was, worked in, the plant. And my grandfather found out after a number of years that the other two partners were trying to get him out of the business, okay? And, he's a pretty smart guy, and his best friend was an attorney. And what ended up happening was the one partner sold out to to my grandfather and this other partner. So, this is going on, and we're now into the 1960s. My grandfather bought the other partner out at a sheriff's sale. So, so really, like in 1965 is when my family owned Berks Packing Company. And that's when we started to take off as a company. He pretty much bought the company at a sheriff's sale for what you could buy a big 4-bedroom home for today. And the thing that I think that's amazing about my grandfather is he was 61 years old at that time. And he always had a dream when he was younger that he wanted to own his own meat plant. So at 61 years old, and that's when most people are starting to retire, he was just really getting started. And so he worked there until he was in his late 80s, and he passed away in the early 1990s. So, but, I think in today's world, we want everything just like this, and, we want, when we go to do something, we think that, what we're doing, we're gonna get back in return, and, sometimes that doesn't always happen. Sometimes there's things that decisions that are made that are out of your control, but you just want to be prepared any way that you can. Okay. So the next slide that I'm going to show here is my family. So that's at one of our family meetings that we had in Reading, and like I said, I'm the youngest of 11. There's 8 boys and 3 girls. And all of us have worked at Berks pretty much all of our life. And, we didn't just, when we went to college, we didn't just, get an office job, and we didn't just, it wasn't easy for us. So we had to work, and we had to, do things like I said. We had to clean the bathrooms. We had to learn the business. And really most of us to this day are pretty much in the departments that we started in. Let's see, I have 3 brothers that are in sales, Tim, John, and Jim. Tim's in retail sales, John's in food service sales. Jim is in convenience, he handles the Wawa account. And then I have 2 brothers, Pat, Peter, that are in the production side of the business. And then David and Mike and I are, in the accounting and administrative side. David's our president. Myself, I've been in the HR side for a number of years, and in addition to handling the HR, I'm also the corporate secretary. So I'm working with David pretty much side by side, and dealing with attorneys, dealing with pretty much anything that has to, that has to be done. So, being the youngest, I've always learned, from others, and I realize as I get older and I get more responsibility, now they're starting to learn from me. So, we're kind of at the point now where, we will learn from each other, we'll push each other, and we'll challenge each other. And I know when I came to Berks out of college, my dad would always say to us, he said, you guys better get along, or I'm going to sell the business. And that was one thing that did motivate me to get along. I mean, that's my nature. I get along with people. But in a family business, not every family business succeeds, and sometimes family businesses do close because the family can't get along, and they just can't work out their differences. And so that's where we rely on the High Center to help us out. How many are familiar with the Family Business Center, the High Center? Have you gone to that? Okay. Okay. Yeah, they have a lot of excellent speakers there. You know, they have, you know, you would think that our family being in business, you know, all these years, you would think that you know, we would have all the answers, but we don't. And that's one of the things that we do is, even though we have our business, we rely on a lot of people. We rely on our employees. We have a great workforce. And you know, they come to work every day. They're very dedicated. We have of our 140 employees, the majority are in the plant, production employees, and there's about 75. Those employees are in the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. That's another thing that I do is I sit on the negotiation team. So we just negotiated a 3-year contract with them. Then we have our Teamster employees. They're our truck drivers. So we negotiated that contract last year. And there's about 15 in that group. And then the rest are our salaried employees. We have our quality assurance department. We have our maintenance department, our sales department, our accounting department, and our IT department. You know, our IT department, how many people do you think are in our IT department? Just take a guess. How big do you think our IT department is?
3.
Okay, yeah, a little lower. 1. Okay. We have Dave. Dave's our IT manager. I hired Dave, you know, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. But when you look at Berks Packing, our IT department is really at the center of that whole company. And you know, you might see a company that's in business for 82 years, but when we talk about being the best, you have to have the best systems. You have to have the best technology, the best equipment, the best people. And you know, when you do those kind of things, that's how you end up having the best product. You know, with our IT department, you know, one of the things that we're looking at, if you go into our server room, you know, you see a lot of servers, and you know, we're looking to get on the cloud, you know, with some applications. But you know, if we were to have a recall, you know, which hopefully, you know, is something, like I said, that we don't want to do, but if we had to identify where our meat is, we could do that within a couple minutes. You know, we could find out where all of our product is in the stores, and we can, you know, start to get it back. So, you know, that's where IT comes in. That's how important that is. You know, there's just a lot of information that, you know, that we give. So, and that we need to have, you know, managing the data with, you know, a lot of times when we are dealing with a problem, what we'll do is we'll look at the data, and we'll get all the facts together, and then we will make a decision based on that. And you know, where that data comes in handy is cutting out a lot of waste that we might have in the company. We're big on continuous improvement, and so we're always looking to better ourselves. Is the PowerPoint, is it pretty much down?
Yeah.
Okay.
The computer, it's not charging, so it's not giving enough power to the projector.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
How are we doing so far? Okay, good, okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this picture here, and I'm going to tell you a story about this. This is Jerry Ellison and his wife. I don't know if you can see that, but the story with Jerry Ellison is that his dad, his name was Willie, came to Reading, Pennsylvania with his 7 or 8 kids, you know, back in the 1940s, and he had worked at a meat packing company down south, and he had heard that Berks Packing was a good place to work. So he came there, and he met my grandfather, and you know, he said, hey, he said, I heard so many good things about your company. He says, I really want to work here. And my grandfather said, well, I'm sorry, I don't have a job for you. And Mr. Ellison said, I'll tell you what, he said, I've heard so many good things about you. He says, I will work for nothing until you have a job that opens up, okay? So what my grandfather did is he said, I'll tell you what, with an attitude like that, he says, we're going to create a job for you. And he did. So Mr. Ellison worked at Berks Packing for 45 years. His 3 sons each worked at Berks Packing for 35 years. So here's Jerry and his wife, and they come in and, you know, we just, you know, have some fun and just, you know, tell some stories. So that's another thing that we do at Berks is we're looking to have fun. You know, we know that business is serious, but you know, you want to go to work, you want to enjoy what you do, and you just really want to be yourself and just have fun, I guess. And you know, I think part of my job is doing what I'm doing here. You know, I'm having fun today. I'm not working, so in a way I am working, but you know, I'm out talking to each of you. So I have a picture here of our website. So we have a pretty updated website here down at the bottom. You'll see some pictures that we have, okay, of some of our products here, okay. One of the things that we realize is that even though we've been in business all these years, you know, you're our consumers as well, and you know, we know that the millennials, I guess this is the millennial group, is that right? Okay, good. We know that you're not going out and buying, you know, big hams. We know that, you know, you're into snacking, that you're into convenience. We know that you're into health foods, you know, healthier products. So what we're working on is we're working on a snacking line, you know, to appeal to your group. And you know, we look to keep up with the trends. We have our director of sales and marketing is Marty. Marty he's worked for us for like 3 years now. And we have a recruiter that I've worked with, and Marty's background is with Smithfield. Have you heard of Smithfield? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Smithfield went through some changes, and somehow you know, we found out about Marty's name, and I called him up one day and told him about Berks Packing, and you know, he said, hey, sounds like a good opportunity. So you know, what Marty does is he gets a lot of data, and he'll bring in the information from, you know, his different databases that he has. And we know, and when we have our meetings, we're looking at the hot dog category. Okay, we're looking at how big is the hot dog category in the United States, and what share does Berks Packing have of that? Where is this trend going? And what can we do? So we're always looking at information and starting to, you know, go the course. I would say that, you know, the 2 products that we really focus on is slicing is number 1, and then hot dogs is number 2. Those are our 2 biggest items. The Wawa account, we just tell you about that story. We started with them about 25 years ago, and I don't know, you know, some of you may remember this, but 25 years ago, they had slicers in their stores, and that's how they were making all the sandwiches. So they were having a lot of problems with workers' comp injuries, and they just weren't getting the quality. So that's when we partnered with them, and then we bought a slicer, and you know, it was a you know, big slicer, about the size of a car, and we did all the slicing for them for all their stores. So then we started to grow with them, and we bought another slicer. And you know, as their business grew, people want convenience. You know, when you go to a Wawa, you want to go in and get out, right? You just want to keep moving, and you want quality, and you want it at a good cost, at a very reasonable cost. So what we did was we bought another slicer, and this is it's called a Weber slicer, and they're made over in Germany, and that slicer is about as big as this room, and they're not cheap. They're very expensive. Okay, so we made the investment back into a Weber slicer. So now this is our 3rd Weber slicer that we bought for Wawa. That was, first one was called a 5000. The next one was called a 902. and the next one was called a 904. So Wawa came back to us again, and they're a great company. You know, they pretty much set the bar for Berks and for, you know, the competition really. So they said, hey, you know, we're going to be going down to Florida, and we want to open up some stores there. So, you know, can you help us out? And we said, sure. So we bought another slicer. That was a 905, okay? And so this year, we just took our warehouse and we converted that into a slicing center for Wawa, okay? So that was a big project for us. So, you know, Wawa came in and they pretty much told us they wanted a clean room concept. You know, in our business, we're dealing with bacteria. We're dealing with, you know, a lot of food safety issues. So there's different ways of building rooms so that we can minimize that, okay? Does anybody have any questions so far on anything?
Did you say that was the size of this room?
The slicer is the size of this room. Oh, here we go. We got something. Okay, good. Yeah, the slicer is about the size of this room. Just one slicer. That's just the slicer. And then we have a packaging machine that goes to it. And then we have conveyors that go to it. And, you know, when you come down, who's ever going to come down, you know, we'll show you this. But it's really neat is what happens is, you know, we take a big log of meat. And then we run that through the slicer. And we do 3 different meats for Wawa. We do a hard salami, which we don't make. We get that in. We do a smoked ham that has pepper on it, and we have a cooked ham. So those logs are about this big. Put them on a conveyor, and then it goes through this machine, which has a blade that goes around. And then what we do is we do, it's called an overlapping. So it takes all those 3 cuts of meat and puts it in one package. So before this, what Wawa was getting is they were getting 3 packages, which somebody at the store, if you ever went in there, you know, they have to open this package, open that package, put it all together. So now they just have one package, slap it on a sandwich, and, you know, and there you have it. Okay. So that's Jerry and his wife that came in. These are a couple of my brothers. My brother Peter on the far right, my brother Mike, brother Tim, brother Pat in the back, Dorothy, my sister Teresa, and myself. Here's our website. So this is an example of the sliced meat that we do for Wawa. You know, we're always looking for ideas. We're always looking for different recipes and different ways that, you know, we can take our product and make it more appealing to the consumer. Okay, this slide here, we deal with a lot of regulatory agencies. And how many of you are familiar with, you know, you've all heard of OSHA? You've heard of the EPA, the USDA. So USDA, for example, down at the bottom, they have an inspector that's in our plant every time we're producing. So we have a system that is set up. It's you know, a requirement that we have to meet a lot of different requirements. We have a lot of different forms that we have to fill out. And some of our customers require that we have a program called SQF, Safe Quality Foods. So there's different levels, and we have to, you know, meet those different levels, and we're at the highest level. You know, OSHA is a regulatory agency that, you know, monitors the safety of employees. I've handled a number of OSHA inspections. My brother Mike is doing that now. EPA, you know, monitors the environment. We have ammonia at our plant, and then we have the Department of Transportation. So when you're dealing with a regulatory agency, they do bring your best out because you really have to really work to satisfy their requirements. it's not rocket science. You know, really what I've learned with dealing with the regulatory agencies, it's a lot of common sense, and you really just have to pay attention to what's going on. You know, I think as you get in business, you know, you're gonna be dealing with regulatory agencies no matter what field you go into. You're going to be dealing with the IRS. You know, you will be dealing with a regulatory agency. Something that you do, I guarantee you, is going to be tied to a regulatory agency. So, you know, when you're studying, you know, when you're learning, just learn as much as what you can, because what you're learning now, I guarantee you, is going to help you in your job. If you really know your field, and if you don't know the answer to something, you know, go to somebody that does know the answer. But that's really the one thing that I have learned with just the different fields that I've been in, is it's pretty neat when you start to get you get your first job, and now you start to take everything that you've learned and now you start to apply it. So all your hard work, all your studying, I assure you it's going to pay off for you one day. Might be hard to see now, but it does come together. Okay, teamwork is something that we're very big on, and this is a picture of the front of our plant. In 1972, we had a flood, and if you can see above the building there's a red mark. We had 17 feet of water in the plant at that time. And we relied on our employees to help us. We didn't have insurance at the time. So all of our employees came together except one employee, cleaned up the plant, and we were back in business. We also had a flood, and you can see this is 2006. I was on a boat when I took this. But you can see that was probably about 4 feet of water in the front of our plant. So what we had to do was we had to clean the plant up. It took us a month. We were shut down. We're located, you know, a couple hundred feet from the Schuylkill River, and you know, we had a cookout. You know, we fed our employees. Here's our sanitation team. You know, and the people side of the business is something that I really like. You know, I'm usually walking around, usually trying to develop a relationship with employees, getting to know them. You know them on a first name basis. You know, you start to talk about their family, start to talk about them, get their ideas, because they're the experts in what they're doing, and they're going to help you. They're going to really help you to be a better business, and so we're very fortunate that we have a really good workforce. Here is our this is our production and HR team. So we meet every Wednesday. We do a lot of communication. Communication is very big in business. You know, we have email, we have, you know, this kind of communication. Myself, you know, I'll do the email, but I'm more of a, you know, visual, more of a, you know, dialogue type. And I would say that, you know, that's one thing that in business I see sometimes we lose things with emails, but so we do a lot of meetings and we do a lot of communication. You know, we throw things out on the table. We're very open, very honest with each other. And, you know, when we're doing that, that's going to help us to really get to the root of things. Because when you have a problem, you want to be able to solve it very quickly. And you want to be able to get all the facts. Okay, this is another one of our core values is, you know, to have respect for all. So we like to help the community out. You know, we appreciate everything that the community does for Berks. And this is a Toys for Tot campaign that we had. And then we have our employees, Greg, Kathy, Mike, and Lisa, you know, that will put boxes out. And a lot of what we do today really is tied back and tied together with what, you know, our grandfather did, our dad did. You know, we take those same principles that we learned way back when, and we still apply those in our business. Here is a fundraiser that we did for the Vision Resource Center. So we like to be able to, help organizations raise money and give back. Here's one of our employee cookouts. There's Luke and Dave and Rodney. Dave and Rodney work over in the distribution center, and both of those guys have been there for a long time. So what we'll do a couple times a year is, we'll get the grill out and we'll have lunch for our employees, and we'll also give out Christmas hams and Easter hams. So, we want to be able to maintain that connection there. Okay, we want to know our customers and our consumers, and as I had said earlier, your generation is really what's going to help to keep Berks going. So, does anybody have any ideas on some things that you like when it comes to hot dogs or sliced meats? Any ideas? Okay, see a couple smiles. Okay, well, if you have anything, let us know. Here's some of our customers. We mentioned Wawa. Our sales department is set up into 3 divisions. We have our convenience division, which is Wawa. Then we have our retail division, which is Weiss Markets, Redner's, Carnes, Stouffer's of Kissel Hill, Walmart, if you go into Walmart, Darren Camps. And then we have our food service division, which are companies like U.S. Foods, Cisco. We have Etline. So a number of different companies. Have you heard of some of these companies? You have? Okay. So here's some of the other retail customers, and we've seen a lot of our customers are very much like our employees. They've been customers of Berks for a long time. We're very big on relationships that we have with people. In addition to our employees, in addition to the regulatory agencies, we also have good relationships with our competition. You've heard of Kunzler. You've heard of Hatfield. So, we can pick up the phone and, talk to them about something. Even though we're competitors, we're all in the same business together. So, a lot of this gets back to just that relationship and just, helping each other out. When we had the flood in 1972, Hatfield came up and helped us out. They sent some mechanics up. When we had the flood in '06, I think that they were there, and we've helped some of these companies out as well. We get into all kind of competitions, and this was a competition up in Scranton. Berks was voted the 3rd best hot dog in America, so we were really proud of that. Some of our other accounts that we've had. Anybody been to a Penn State game? Number of years ago, okay. We were in the Penn State. We had the Penn State account at one time, and sitting there with 110,000 people, seeing your name, your company's name come up on the screen, that'll raise the hair on your neck. So that was a pretty good feeling. We also served the military. So when the troops were fighting over in the Middle East, they were eating Berks hot dogs. So. We were able to get some of those connections going, and my brother John handles the military account, so we're proud of that. And then another core value that we have is supporting the community. So this is something that I've gotten involved in. It's called People First. There's a lot of people that aren't as fortunate as ourselves. They don't have food. So a good friend of mine who has a restaurant nearby, he started this idea of inviting families into his restaurant, and he opens it up and we provide the ham. So The one thing that I would encourage you to do is get involved in as much as what you can outside of your job. You know, get involved in helping other people, because you're going to meet a lot of people that way. You're going to learn things that are going to help you in your personal life. They're going to help you in your professional life, and you know, they're very rewarding. So it's just amazing how when you get involved and you're really helping other people, it really is a good, it's good. So these are some of the different organizations that we support. We get a lot of calls for donations. We get a lot of requests. So, you know, from churches in the area, from different organizations, and we will help these organizations out in any way that we can. So here's a couple more. Okay, I know I went a little bit longer, so we tried to do the best that we could here with the without the PowerPoint. Does anybody have any questions? Or okay, good. Yes.
How is your company, I guess, how are you personally coping with healthcare costs?
Oh, that's a good question. We just we have a wellness committee that we have, and we're trying to do it through awareness, and we're trying to do it with just really encouraging employees to just really take ownership of that. So we just went through a renewal with our salaried employees, and we have different programs, a health savings account, which really encourage people to really take care of themselves. So it's a benefit that we offer as a company, but it gets back to the individual of, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Do you mind me asking what you pay, or what's your single rate, and what's your family rate?
They're different, you know, for you know, different classes that we have, but you know, I'd be glad to talk to you after this about it. Okay? Yes.
You said you have 10 siblings.
Yes.
You always learn from them, and now they're learning from you. I want to know, in what way did you feel any kind of competition between your siblings?
You know what? I don't look at it as a competition. You know, that's the way I'm going to answer that is, I go to work every day and I try my best. Okay. You know, when I go to work, I don't think about what I'm going to get paid. Honestly, I don't. I really never have. I mean, it's an important factor to me, but what I do is I just give my best, and you know, and sometimes, you know, they're gonna, you know, I might have a brother that's gonna have a better idea. I might have a better idea than what they do. So, does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Is anybody else? Oh, yes.
I remember you said that you worked with a lot of unionized workers. What do you think the benefits and or disadvantages are of that situation?
Okay. That's a good question. Berks has had two unions. The United Food and Commercial Workers Union came in the couple years after my grandfather bought Berks, and you know, there had been other companies that were unionized. I think the good thing about the union type program is that there's a contract that all the employees follow. The disadvantage, and we have both, is you can't be as flexible with your employees. You know, if somebody wants to, you know, do something, you just have to be really careful that you're not setting a precedent. So, but with our salaried employees, we can be flexible, we can work with people. We've even taken some of our supervisors who were in the union, who did work in the plant, and we promoted them into management positions. So, does that answer? Okay, good. Okay. Okay, are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
I was struck that your grandfather started in 1933, which is only a couple of years after the Great Depression. So does your grandfather talk about that at all, about how they started a company on the heels of the Depression when the country was on its back?
Yes. Yes, he did. I remember having a conversation with him one day on his side porch, and And I called him Pop-Up, and so he said, go into my living room and get a book. And I brought the book out, and he said, open it up to, whatever page it was. And there was a picture, which I don't have, which I'm sure that you've seen, of back in the Great Depression. There's a picture of a mother and her 3 kids, and she was starving, okay? And he said, that's why I got in the meat business, was to feed people. So, and we still, do this today. So there's a lot of people that are out there hungry, and we're still trying to help that problem. It's a worldwide problem, hunger. But yeah, so good question. Yes.
When you said that when Wawa was expanding into Florida, they wanted to get more product from you. Did you guys open up in Florida, or do you send everything from up here?
Yeah, that's a good question. What we do is we make everything at the plant. We have 2 tractor trailers that go right down to one of their warehouses in New Jersey, and then they put it on trucks and they go wherever they're going to go with it. So we just go from our plant to their plant. Yeah. These are a lot of good questions. Okay, any others? Yes.
Talking about the regulatory agencies, my father's a FSIS
Okay.
inspector in plants and stuff. And how often do you guys change inspectors? Do you know if do they stay there for a long time?
Generally, they do. We've had some of the same inspectors for a number of years, and they get to know the plant, because when you're dealing with a big operation with a lot of different parts and a lot of different pieces of equipment, they want an inspector that's going to be in there that's going to really know that plant. So, so they generally will stay, and then those inspectors, they'll inspect our plant, they'll go inspect another plant, and so they're going around. And we realize, with the regulatory agencies, they have different initiatives that today than what they did, a number of years ago. And some of you may end up, working for a regulatory agency, and when they have a lot of different initiatives and programs. So we're aware of that.